shopgear.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, TTRP, brought to you by Gear Network and, of course, ShopGear.com. And yes, this is not the voice of Cyclone Jones. As stated on last week's episode, Cyclone's taking a brief hiatus due to being a corrections officer. He has academy training and so on. But don't worry, we have found our special guest host for this episode.
More of a suitable replacement than you could ever swallow, Mr. All-Purple Everything, none of a kind, and Buffalo's best kept secret, Anthony Gaines, invading the Gear Network and going right down your throats. Pat G, thank you for having me. Ish Jones, thank you for suggesting me in the Gear Network. Did I already thank them? Either way, JC Money, thank you for everything. So let's get right into it, Pat.
Yes, Money in the Bank.
The talk of the town, so it speaks.
Yes, and starting off the pay-per-view, you saw the non-title match with the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Daniel Bryan and Rowan, taking on the Usos.
What an interesting match. So, I love the Usos, and I think, they're one of the best tag teams on the planet, but I'm not really, I don't know, I haven't really hopped on the Daniel Bryan heel train just yet. I think it's cool, and I like that Rowan's just out there in, a band t-shirt and jeans, and I like their look and everything, but I don't know. I'm not sold on them. I love Daniel Bryan main eventer. I love him mid-card, or him as a tag team competitor is still a little tough for me to swallow. So, I really enjoyed the match, obviously, because it's the Usos, and I'm a little bit biased, but yeah, I think it was a solid way to start off the entire card. Was it the best match of the night? No, but, I think it's a good way to wean me into, because Bryan and Rowan went over, right?
Yes.
So I think it's a good way.
Oh, no, the Usos actually won.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, the Usos won.
Oh, well, now I'm even more dissatisfied.
Yeah, the Usos picked up the victory at just over 11 minutes.
Wow. Okay, then. Not too bad.
Now, up next, WWE did a memorandum for the passing Ashley Massaro.
The late, great Ashley Massaro, who now, in recent news, we found out that she ended up taking her own life, which is super duper sad, because she had a very young daughter who was, deep into mourning, and it's just the saddest thing. And then we have that,
the story.
We're not even going to go into detail, because that doesn't even deserve that kind of life, but this very sickening, stomach-churning story about the Kuwait overseas. It's just disgusting.
Her trip, along with some WWE legends,
disgusting.
For
absolutely
the United
disgusting.
States Army military.
I believe there's two sides to every story, but I believe it takes a very heinous individual to make up a story like that, and I believe it's all in writing, and Ashley's writing post or pre-mortem, so to speak. So we don't even have to touch on that, but rest in peace, Ashley Massaro. Thank you for everything you've done. Such a beautiful soul, and my positive vibes are definitely with her family, and especially her daughter. It's literally the saddest thing in the world.
Moving up next was Women's Money in the Bank match. Natalya versus Naomi versus Dana Brooke versus Nikki Cross versus Carmella versus Ember Moon versus Mandy Rose versus Bayley.
Patrick Ganchowski, I have to tell you, this match, this Women's Money in the Bank match definitely it overseeded my expectations. It was the best, and I know we've only had a few of them, or two. Is this the second or third? I want to say third, right. This was the best Women's Money in the Bank, hands down. These ladies went hard, and I looked at the card. I'm like, Mandy Rose, what are you doing? Carmella, what are you doing in there? But I'm telling you, they went hard. I especially liked, terrible thing for me to say, the whole thing with Carmella's knee injury was just, it was real, and it was gritty, and they took to it on Twitter. But I'm telling you, Ember Moon going off the ladder and doing the Eclipse, and Nikki Cross going in there and and bumping into the ropes like just a complete jerk off. It was easily one of the best matches on the card, if not the best match on the card. These women came out and they did exactly, they exceeded all expectations in my opinion, because you have a whole bunch of people or a whole bunch of ladies that may have been, kind of in that realm of diva aspect, breaking barriers. The finish of Sonya Deville carrying up Mandy Rose, super brilliant in my opinion.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the match, but the recap that I used, the guy says this was a great laid out match, even minus some of the awkward spots that they might have had, but everybody got time to shine. There were good teases of possible winners, and the crowd was invested the entire time. Overall, this was a hell of an effort from the ladies.
It was a hell of an effort, and I mean, that's a good way to put it, because Natalya got her opportunity, and then, Sonya Deville hoisting up Mandy all the way up the ladder was super cool, and then, Ember Moon, again, with her super fucking awesome holy shit eclipse, and then, Mandy Rose, and then even Nikki Cross and Dana Brooke had this awesome spot, where she actually hung from the cable that was holding the briefcase, and she swung back and forth, she spread her legs, she went over the ladder, and it was super duper cool. It was an OMG moment for sure. These ladies definitely put out everything that they had, and you gotta respect them for it. Do I agree with Bayley being the winner? Perhaps not. However, the fans loved it. The universe loved it. And hell, that's all that matters, right? Everybody's happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, you saw the U.S. champion Samoa Joe defending the title against Rey Mysterio. Mysterio picks up the win in just under 2 minutes. Unfortunately, there was a story about the Joe having a broken nose.
I mean, that
might have led to the match ending a lot quicker than anticipated.
So I seen this match on the card, and I'm a big fan of you see Cena versus Orton on a card, and you're like, okay, I definitely know what to expect. The demographic of Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio, I look at that on a card, and I'm like, I don't know what to expect, and I love that, Pat. So I went into this, super optimistic. Of course, I got that whole thing with Dominic going on, but again, a super quick match. Yeah, Joe suffered a broken nose. It was off of the springboard senton, which he went right up his face, which was gnarly as hell. So what had happened was, they called the match early. Joe's shoulder was definitely up, and I feel like the referee may have just done his due diligence, may have been reading in the earpiece, been like, Joe wants to go on, Joe wants to be a hero, but let's get him out of there. He's clearly hurt. Whatever. Rey Mysterio goes on. What the story doesn't tell is that Rey Mysterio actually also suffered a separated shoulder during that match. Now, they say, God, what was the point in the match they said that it separated? I don't know. But I think I don't know. Part of me thinks it's crippling irony that, Joe is just sick of being in the limelight. So he had that thing where he came out and he ransacked and came back out and attacked Rey Mysterio and gave him those 2 Uranagis. And, part of me is thinking, okay, if you have a separated shoulder, I'd tell Joe, okay, no Uranagi, especially not 2. Lock in that coquina clutch. Yeah. Make me pass out. So you're trying to tell me that he has a separated shoulder and is going to take 2 Uranagis from a guy that has just recently dealt with a separated shoulder. I'm going to tell you, Uranagi is far from the moves I'm going to take from you if my shoulder is pre-separated. Now, do I think that Joe had a malicious intent, came out and automatically separated Rey Mysterio's shoulder? Absolutely not. I think Joe's a professional. I don't think he's that vindictive, especially to somebody as higher up in the prestige of WWE. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors to play into this. Both men are injured. The fate of the WWE United States Championship is now at risk. We don't know what's going to happen. Joe's playing into it, saying, hand it over to me, Ray. And I think that's cool, because Dominic's training, and I think it's going to lead to a thing with him and Dominic. And, there's a meme going around that it's so super funny. It's back in my day, Rey Mysterio fought for your custody on a pole match, and the least you could do is run in and help me instead of watching me get beat down. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. But I think, as unfortunate as this is for both parties, I think it only adds to the mystique of what this feud can be and what can grow to be. So I am going to tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before this, Before that match, Sami Zayn was meeting with Triple H looking for Shane. They said they have a big problem in Braun Strowman. He feels he will be hurt before the match. Triple H calms him down, says Braun has been banned from the building. Sami wants protection, but Triple H dismisses it as a nice little cut through.
It's weird. Like, I love what Sammy's doing, but this whole Braun Strowman thing, it's like, Sammy's a bad guy, but Braun Strowman's like this. Like, he's the bad guy that people love to hate, but Braun Strowman's just like, or people, like to hate. But Braun Strowman's over here just like decimating everything. He doesn't care if you're face, heel, tweener, or diva.
Yep.
It's interesting. I just don't know how to read it.
Up next was the cage match, Shane McMahon versus The Miz. You can get a pin submission or escape to win. Shane McMahon picks up the victory for some reason. But
did you see that, Pat?
I did not. It's on my. I need to rewatch some of these.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, it was an awesome match. It was a pretty good match. The finish, people shit on it. It was super brilliant. So what had happened is like they're both climbing to the cage. It looks like The Miz is going to superplex good old Shane O'Mac, which we all know Shane is dumb enough to take, as we've seen, a couple Raws prior. Yeah. And then it turns out, he's hooking it, and he blocks it, he hooks it, and then he blocks it, and then he hooks it again, but he goes back down, and it turns out Shane slips out of his jersey and just hits the floor.
Okay.
I think it's brilliant. Is it corny? Absolutely it's corny, but The Miz is in awe, Shane's in awe, the ref's in awe, the fans are in awe. Heel Shane goes over, and The Miz goes on to have another kid with the hottest superstar, Divas champion of all time.
Exactly.
Life goes on.
Can't be mad with The Miz.
No, count your losses, man. You got the hottest diva in history. Just don't worry about old Shane O'Mac.
They making the announcement that Mick Foley will be on Raw to announce a new title. We'll get into that later.
We don't have to, but okay.
Backstage, we see Sami Zayn hanging upside down, attacked. Not sure who attacked him. Up next was the Cruiserweight Championship. Tony Nese defending against Arya Daivari. Nese retains. The recap says Nese was working hard and delivering, but Daivari just had a bad night and it didn't look good or like a convincing challenger.
It was very weird. I'm a huge Arya Daivari fan. I like his character. Let me rephrase. I love where his character has developed over time. He's become this Arabian aristocrat, which I like a lot. But Arya Daivari was somebody that always fell in the shadows of Sean Daivari for obvious reasons. But Tony Nese is one of the best in the world, cruiserweight or non-cruiserweight. But yeah, Arya just didn't do his part in helping Nese. He didn't really sell for him. He didn't really put the right, because I guess Nese is a face now. I don't really watch 205 Live all that much anymore. It's become kind of stagnant.
When Nese beat Murphy for the title at Mania, it kind of cemented Nese as the face guy.
Well, good for him, but there comes a time where Arya has to do, anybody against Nese has to do their due diligence, and it just seemed he came out in this really hot car, not car guy. I don't really know what make or model it was, but it was a really hot car, clearly expensive. Again, playing that aristocrat thing, kind of like an Arabian Del Rio, super hot, super cool, but
without all the heel heat Del Rio would get.
It was bad, and he didn't sell for him. He was out of place, and the facials weren't there, and it's just I like Arya and I like where he's going, but I with the IWC, the wrestling community, couldn't help but be you really did that guy a disservice. However, there was a point in the match where Tony Nese kicked in high gear on his own. It was that's it. We're going. We're here. Here we are. One over strong. Crowd reaction wasn't there. I honestly think it was a bad place on the card for him, and I love to see the Cruiserweights anywhere else besides the pre-show. So I think this was their opportunity, and that was the match to where any higher up would look at that and be yeah, this is why we can't have Cruiserweights on the main card, which is a shame.
Which is, if you go back to Mania and see the match between Nese and Murphy, Murphy. Like
bananas.
That match is a proof that they belong on the card.
Because Nese and Murphy are two of the hardest working guys on the roster, again, regardless of weight class. But I digress. Ariya Daivari is still a good talent. Maybe he just had an off night. Maybe he had a stomach bug. Maybe he's got marital problems. Maybe he had some bad lunch. Whatever. Moving on.
Well, Triple H meets with Braun, says he isn't replacing Sammy, asks Braun to leave because Braun denied the attack. Zayn has been taken to a local medical facility. Up next,
can we just touch on that for a second? That kind of made Braun look a little complacent. So like there was a little face-to-face thing with Triple H, and Triple H was like, as your boss, man to man, I'm telling you to leave. And I was, Braun Strowman had just previously, less than 12 seconds ago, choked Shooter Storm up against a freight truck. Threw him, Braun Strowman never wanted to be complacent, never wanted to abide by the rules. I just think him accepting that. We've seen Big Show cry for his job before.
Yeah, there's been the Braun Strowman thing has been well documented. Is like they want to make him the guy, but it's attitude and ego and like forgetting spots because
so many factors.
Yes, there's
so many factors
as to why he's not like one of the main guys.
So it's easier to just move on than to dwell.
Basically. Up next, you saw the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch defeating Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship. Of course, Becky Lynch picks up the victory. The match was okay. Evans showed promise, but the ending stretched what was a really sloppy and almost fell apart completely.
No, I don't think so.
This is just his recap. He says the refs have either just been bad tonight or being booked to look incomplacent or incompetent.
So I have a group chat amongst another couple of wrestlers and a manager and a ref and a booker. So like I'm a huge Lacey Evans fan. I have been since day one. I think her gimmick's there, and I think she's got all the talent in the world and the physique. I was telling the entire chat, this is her chance. Mm-hmm. If she doesn't deliver during this match, they're going to write her off. Did she deliver during this match? Absolutely not. Did she flop during this match? Absolutely not. People should be more disappointed in Ariya Daivari than they are in Lacey Evans. So I think she fell somewhere in the middle ground. Should she come at fault for that? Absolutely not. She's green, she's new, and she still has a lot going on. Could Becky have slowed things down? Absolutely. My personal opinion, she probably could have. Was it a bad match? Absolutely not. It wasn't a bad match. I think Lacey is still coming into her own. And I think Becky Lynch as the man is still coming into her own, with offense and defense.
She's coming to the character as far as vocally, but in the ring, she's still. And also, you got to look at Becky Lynch for the last 6 to 8 months. She's been working with Charlotte Flair.
Absolutely, my biggest
and the one or two times with Ronda Rousey. So it's like
absolutely,
it's not where she's defending the title against the person A, B, C, and Z.
Yeah, she's not defending it against Wendy Richter or the Fabulous Moolah or Trish Stratus or Lita or God forbid Molly Holly. She's not defending it against these high caliber people. She's starting from the bottom. She's learning how to have to be the measuring stick, and that's a hard place to come into. I speak from experience, but like it's something you have to come into. Now, Lacey did her due diligence, but could she have done better? Yeah. Could she have done worse? Absolutely. My big thing is I have to get back on track here.
It's a starting point.
It's not only that. God, I had a point to make, and I can't even remember it. Oh, man. This is going to bite me in the ass, because it was like a really good point.
Yep.
And now I can't think of it. Anyways, Lacey could have done better, could have done worse. If somehow during the recap I come back to this, we're going to come back to it because I said so, but moving on.
Yeah. Up next, immediately was the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Becky Lynch taking on Charlotte. Charlotte gets the victory and wins the title.
There it is. So my big problem of it, speaking of Lacey Evans, was the way they built Lacey Evans. So they came out, they had her talk a whole bunch of nonsense, and then they had them do this brawl, and then the women's right was really put over well. It wasn't just knocking females out left and right. It's like, if she was going to lose, just don't build her up that strong.
Oh, absolutely.
That's fine. Yeah. Like, build her up like a Steven Richards. Like, oh, this is Becky's, kind of nonsense win, and then she comes up from that.
Yeah.
But I did like the save, moving on and in transition to this Charlotte Becky match.
Yeah. The ending of the Charlotte Becky match saw Lacey come out, hit Becky with the women's right. Becky cradles Charlotte for 3, but she doesn't kick out, and then Charlotte then just pins Becky. Massive communication going. What going on?
I thought it would. No. Like, did you watch the match?
I didn't see the match. I saw the Bayley cash in.
So it's really, really, really cool. So, like, the women's right hit, boom, and, like, Charlotte's ready, and she goes to scoop her up, presumably for, who, God knows what. And then there's the inside cradle, 1, 2, boom, big kick out, 2 3/4, and then Charlotte hits this really weak boot, and that's what's the 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
So, like, However, I liked the planning. The idea was certainly there. Charlotte gets about 29, 35 seconds in. Bayley's music hits.
Yeah. And, there was the fight afterwards where Becky attacked Lacey. Charlotte made the save. They beat her down, but Bayley comes out, takes Lacey out. Charlotte's attacked. Bayley cuts her off and then cashes in. Bayley hits the top rope elbow drop, pins Charlotte to cash in and become the new SmackDown Women's Champion.
Which, by the way, wasn't it a brief understanding that Bayley was to not use the top rope elbow drop anymore because of good old Kairi Sane, who's outdoing everyone with it? But I digress.
Yeah.
Do I think that the cradle could have been kicked out and transitioned into the figure 8? Does that make Becky look weak tapping out? There's so many factors again. Either way, I think it was beautifully done, and the end all be all, regardless of anybody's opinion, is that the crowd went ape shit for Bayley.
Yep. And that's the thing. The recapper says when WWE wants to, they can reheat someone up in one night.
Exactly. For a crowd that's been fickle on Bayley, especially since the Sasha Banks thing's been going on, for a crowd that's been fickle on Bayley, like, they certainly won that crowd over, and they certainly had her over. She didn't have to cry like she did after the Iron Women match either. It was just it was an emotional moment without any tears, without any bloodshed. It was beautiful.
If Bayley could go back to, like, harness what she was in NXT,
which I think this is the resurgence of that.
Maybe this is as you said, is it will make Bayley that much better of a champion.
Absolutely. And especially that being said, with this whole thing, like I touched on, the Charlotte big boot for the finish was kind of weak. Are we going to remember that? No. I think we're going to remember that epic top rope elbow drop. I think we're going to remember the women's right, and I think we're going to remember, Becky tapping out Lacey, and I think the big boot is the last thing we're going to remember.
And also, nothing against the fact that you took one of the belts off Becky, but now it gives you Becky on Raw with all the challengers on Raw, Lacey Evans.
It was a good out, because for the long time, I'm like, okay, if they're not unifying the belts, how do we get this belt off of Becky?
Exactly.
And I was just like, it was so beautifully orchestrated.
It was.
Oh my gosh.
And now you have the face champion in Becky, but she has all these heel challengers: Charlotte, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Ember Moon's on SmackDown. It's like
Lacey, everybody.
And then now with the
Iconics.
The wild card factor.
Well, we don't even have to go there.
But up next, they cut to the back as they see Roman Reigns is walking. Elias attacks, lays him out, and comes out to basically run down Hartford. He decides to leave. Reigns then arrives. Superman punches him, throws him into the ring, spear, cover, 1, 2, 3, and done. Yeah. Roman Reigns is once again over. Up next, the Universal Championship match. Seth Rollins defending against AJ Styles. And this probably was the best thing on the show to this point.
What did that match go, like 17, 18 minutes?
1955 officially.
Mother of God. I remember I've watched it twice. I remember watching that match the second time being like, God, I am just not bored of this.
Nope.
Oh my God, it was so good. And it was the technical spectacle that everybody expected it to be, God willing, but like, I don't know. I just love a mutual sign of respect. Just be like, I love when, there's no story. And I love when it's just like, yo, AJ Styles is so good. Yo, Seth Rollins also so good. They just go out there, they put on a damn good clinic. I think AJ should have went over, but that's just me. But there's more longevity in Seth Rollins, and I get that.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the match, neither one of them are injured, and they can just keep going on to putting out bangers. God bless it to you, gentlemen. I don't know what Metzler rated that match.
Well, the guy that recaps gave it a 4.5 stars.
Who's the guy?
Tony Larry Zonka. He rates for 411 Mania.
Yeah, whatever.
It's not your Metzler, but...
Well, I'm going to look up the Metzler rating.
Metzler rating?
Yeah, well, anyways, moving on.
Yeah. Then, post-match, disappointed Styles offers a handshake. Rollins accepts. And then and this is the point I'm watching it. The Lucha House Party comes out.
Yes.
And starts talking. And then all of a sudden, Lars Sullivan comes out and proceeds to destroy them. So, you guys book a filler segment, essentially, with the guy that has just been fined $100,000 for racial comments he said 7 years ago, and you had him come out and essentially beat up 3 Mexican superstars, not very successfully, mind you. For what reason?
I mean, they clearly see something in Lars Sullivan that nobody else sees. Let's be real here, because we're in Western New York.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to keep that one to myself.
Nope. Okay.
Nope, I'm going to keep that one to myself. But Lars Sullivan, to me, he's a behemoth, and I think he looks very much like somebody that used to be on the indie scene.
Ah, okay.
Here, maybe on a little bit of supplements, what have you. I think my personal opinion is Seth Rollins' ex-girlfriend Zara, who is currently Sonya Deville's current fiance?
I believe so.
Girlfriend / fiance.
Something like that.
Yeah, we don't have to split hairs. She was fired due to finding out very similar things. My good friend Jessica Havoc, her contract was pulled due to very similar things. I feel like everybody should be held to the same standard. If not, offer Havoc that contract, give Zahra her job back.
Yeah,
it's very unfair.
The fallout for that was, for the Lars Sullivan thing, was he was fined $100,000, and they probably got an earful from the Mars Company, among other sponsors.
It just sucks. It sucks. Everybody should be held to the same standard, and there shouldn't be anything. That should just be all.
And what's funny is, like, not even on a wrestling standpoint, people in regular jobs get fired for things like that.
Yeah. Was he fined? Is fined enough? I mean, there was leaked content on how much he makes a year, and like half of his salary was taken away. Do I believe that? No. Do I care? No.
I know Titus O'Neil said he apologized and all that, but whatever. Up next was the WWE Championship. Kofi Kingston defending against Kevin Owens. Kofi retaining. The end of the match was odd to a degree. Just because Kofi doesn't have a shoe. Kofi's got his shoes off. Kevin Owens took his shoes and threw a shoe. And Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise. And I'm like, does it really have the same effect?
You ever been kicked with a bare foot in comparison to a shoe / boot?
That's true.
It hurts.
I'm sure it does hurt.
The only risk is that brother breaks his foot.
Yeah.
I'm not on the Kofi train. for no other reason than just I like Kofi, and I think he's a tremendous athlete.
Oh, absolutely.
Do I think he's a championship contender? No. Am I playing a heel? Maybe. Do I just like Kevin Owens and, all the opposing? Perhaps. Am I biased? Maybe. Are we moving on? Yes.
If you look at the 2 title matches, you can see like the intensity and the drama that was Rollins and Amber.
A lot to follow. They had a lot to follow.
And then you see Kofi, and I'm like, and Cyclone Jones said this, had they drawn out the Kevin Owens turn longer, you might have had that. You might have had that. You might have had that intensity, because now it's like, oh, okay, Kevin Owens is what, and then all of a sudden that last SmackDown, that's when he. But
exactly, again, and if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
we don't.
It's true. Then the commentary hyped the next Saudi Arabia show on June 7th, the Super Showdown, with matches that a lot of people aren't looking forward to at all. Then finally, the main event of the night, the men's Money in the Bank match, Ricochet versus Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre versus Mustafa Ali versus Andrade versus Randy Orton versus Finn Balor versus blank. And holy shit, this match was ridiculous with the spots. If Finn Balor's spine does not sue him the next day, I don't know what.
So my favorite part of the whole match was Randy Orton playing the veteran role.
Yep.
I don't know whether Randy knew what was going on. I don't think he had to. I think Randy just knew something's up. But also, there's a bunch of people in this match that are going to outwork me spot-wise. I'm getting up there in age. I've done my part. He started off the match 3 backdrops on the announcer's table, and it was such money that he went off dusting his hands, and it was so super funny. And Ricochet did his thing, Finn Balor did his thing, and Andrade and Finn Balor had this epic moment of this, the Eddie Guerrero, God bless his soul, sunset flip-esque spot where Finn Balor just bounced about 7 feet in the air afterwards, and it was beautiful. It really was. Everybody worked hard in that match. Now,
getting to the end of the match.
Yes.
Orton comes in, hits Drew with an RKO. Corbin cuts him off, posts him. Ali and Corbin climb up. Ali dumps Corbin, climbs by himself. Mustafa Ali is inches.
Ali, who had the WWE 24 segment on his injury and how this could have been me with the whole Kofi thing, Kofi calling him, them having this moment. So people are already privy to believe that he's on the rise, regardless of Kofi holding the title. And out comes the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Should we have all been surprised? Absolutely. But realistically, kids, fans, mothers, fathers, children, anybody, the Beast incarnate, who we all thought was gone from WWE, but also simultaneously retired from the UFC. What did we really think here? Brock Lesnar comes out, pushes Ali off the ladder, positions the ladder himself, grabs the briefcase, breaks that glass ceiling for the upteenth time, and is your Money in the Bank contract holder. Patrick Ganchowski, I am sick, and I am tired of the IWC community saying, I canceled my subscription. We know you didn't. We know you're doing that to be Twitter tough. I'm sick of Brock Lesnar. No, you're not. You want to know what's cool about Brock Lesnar?
What's cool about Lesnar?
He's the only heel left in wrestling.
He actually is.
He actually is. You want to know what a real heel is? It's somebody you don't buy a ticket for. You buy a ticket for everybody else on the card, and you're just like, God, I really don't want to see Brock Lesnar. Cool. You want to know what's keeping your subscription? You hate that dude so much. So much that you're willing to go on Twitter and say that you canceled your subscription. Go on there and post the meme like, look at this dumbass. Not gonna say that one. Nope. You're gonna go out there and you're gonna say, "Oh, look at his gut. Look at his boxing shorts. Whatever." Bottom line is, there is no real heel left in wrestling like Brock Lesnar. The idea of a heel is that you hate them. You don't love to hate them. We all love to hate Kevin Owens. Why? Because we're all smart marks, and we're like, "Oh, Kevin Steen is such a good. Kevin Steen is such a good wrestler, and he is." And oh my God, Kevin Steen, you say such these smarky things that I laugh at. Realistically, Brock says, "I make a lot more money coming out here for 3 minutes."
Yep.
Than all of you have combined, bumping on ladders.
Brock Lesnar was like, literally climbed a ladder and was like, "I'm getting more of a payday than you other 7 killing yourselves."
And to hell with the payday. Realistically, that's what's building up Lesnar's stock, is that you hate to see him so much. When he comes, you give him a genuine reaction.
Yep.
And genuine reactions are hard to come by. Sometimes you want to boo Mustafa Ali because, for whatever reason, maybe it's his culture, maybe you just don't like the reverse 450 splash. Maybe you like to boo I almost said Vince Fowler. Maybe you like to boo Finn Balor.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, I know. Maybe you like to boo Finn Balor. Why? Because he has more abs than you? Or no, maybe you just don't like that he paints himself up as a demon sometimes. The fact is, this guy is a real-life true bad guy.
Yep.
He's in it for the money.
Yes.
He hates the fans. He comes out there and he does the same 4 suplexes and 2 F5s a match. He broke your heart by breaking the Undertaker's streak, and he's going to become champion for the upteen time probably for another 2 years, and you just hate that. And that's the idea, that you hate that. And guess what? You're probably going to stay tuning in. And a lot of people stay tuning in.
And on top of that, Lesnar has a rematch for the Universal title at the Super Showdown.
Uh-huh.
So, hell, let's say Lesnar wins.
Yup.
Lesnar still has Money in the Bank. Then he can go to SmackDown, cash on Kofi. Then guess what? Lesnar has both titles.
And now guess what? You're going to cancel your subscription, right? Nah.
It's the thing of everybody wants surprises, everybody wants something new, but when WWE gives you something at the surprise that's out of nowhere that's not expected, you hate it.
There was a meme going around that's like, "Oh, we gave you 6 weeks to turn around and pick a new star. We gave you all these options. Are you behind the Scottish Psychopath? Are you behind Ali? Are you behind Andrade?" No. They're not getting half the reaction you are to booing Brock Lesnar. And that's where the money is.
Exactly.
We're going to move on because I can do this all day, Pat.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure you
have to.
We are going to take a break here to let our sponsors do what they do.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like sports, interactive polls, friendly banter from 2 guys that probably shouldn't even be on the microphone doing this stuff anyways? Well, if you do, then you're in luck. Us 2 knuckleheads, Brandon and myself, comprise the Listen In Podcast. That's right, Listen In, the podcast. We're talking sports, we're talking news, we're talking topical things, we're talking all sorts of things, my babies, and you are all invited to listen in right here on the Gear Radio Network.
On the TTRP, Pat G, the G stands for gangster, along with none of the kind, Anthony Gaines.
Buffalo's best kept secret, Mr. All Purple Everything. I have a couple other monikers, i.e. no moniker needed, even though I have another 4. But Pat G, moving on.
Yes, we're going to talk some ESW Brawl Fest, Empire State Wrestling's big show, a show that I unfortunately was not able to attend because I was out on the road in a couple of states working a few other shows.
And you're not alone, because the event was another sellout show to where we did have to turn fans away for now the 2nd or 3rd show in a row. Dude, ESW keeps getting bigger and better, and what a better way with a lineup like Freddie Yehai, Josh Briggs, Retrosexual Anthony Green, the Ultimo freaking Dragon, and so much more. So Pat G, take it away with those those results.
Up first, you saw a 4-way match featuring Vinnie Moon, Sebastian Braun, Jerk Hawkins, and Mark Sterling. Vinnie Moon picking up the victory.
So Mark Sterling, let's talk about that. Mark Sterling is a New England trainee. I can't tell you how long he's been working, but I tell you, I watched a match and it feels like he's been working for decades. This guy is so good, but let's not undermine guys like Vinnie Moon and Sebastian Braun. We can undermine Jerk Hawkins though, but moving forward, Vinnie Moon ends up picking up the victory in a strong fashion. Outside of having the Universal Era, i.e. his buddy Rise and Dakota Orion by his side, didn't need him. Got the job done by himself. I commend him.
Up next, Bill Collier taking on Josh Briggs, and Collier picks up the win.
The epitome of a hoss battle, if I do say so myself. This was a match that was almost destined not to happen because we didn't know if we could reinforce the ring enough. But I'm going to tell you, this match went about 10 minutes strong, and it was speed, it was power, it was agility, and it was endurance, all combined and personified. The end all be all. Briggs going for a signature chokeslam backstabber, which Bill Collier with a feat of agility backflipping out of that, giving the old right hand to Josh Briggs and the cradle shock for the 1-2-3, solidifying that just when you think there's a bunch of young up-and-comers coming for the spot, Bill Collier says, I got something new in my tank. And I'm going to tell you what, as a young up-and-comer, I am worrisome. Because if he has got that in his tank, what else does he have?
Absolutely.
I'm scared. All I got is a backflip and a kip up. Carry on.
Up next was a match that you yourself was involved in.
Yeah.
The 6-man tag, Anthony Gaines teaming with the ESW Tag Team Champions, Vince Valor and James Sega, facing Will Calrissian, Chris Cooper, and Caesar.
So I thought I was pretty confident in this match, man. I got my boys behind me, and I even introduced Johnny freaking Puma's return because I thought I had the one-up on Caesar, I said, I looked at him right in the eye, and I said, you want to bring in Blast from the Past that nobody cares about? I said, here's one that people do care about. What ended up happening was I went for my signature, Golden Triangle moonsault. I ended up hitting Johnny, and I thought I had the victory secured when I rolled in the Caesar, and a very unfamiliar intro hit, and ended up being
Kevin Grace.
Yeah, Kevin Grace. What a blast from the past that I thought was forgotten. Mm-hmm. And the crowd reminded me that, no, totally not forgotten, man. He came out and he super kicked me. I thought he was on my side. I thought Puma may have summoned him, but he wasn't. And Caesar got the victory and then lambasted my boys. And then, Puma came to the save. And then I thought Puma was still on my side. And then Puma turned on me too. So you know what? Dude, I'm done with these. God, I want to say the F word, but I'm not going to. I'm done with these old farts, dude. If I ever need any backup, I'm going strictly to the new breed.
Is this now? When I saw this and I read the results, and I saw that Puma and Kevin Grace had returned and they had sided with Calrissian and Cooper and Caesar, I kind of instantly had that feeling of the new breed, the new core of ESW versus the old guard.
Well, I think that's basically what it's turning into. I mean, there's too many of them. There's too many of them for me to go back. What am I going to do? Pull out Riot? I'm going to pull out Yuri Koloff, Damian Alexander, Mr. 300. Who am I going to pull out that's actually a threat here? I'm not pulling shots or anything. God bless everything, that they've done for ESW. But right now, I can't go back. Johnny Puma didn't do it for me, and Kevin Grace, whatever. Maybe I'll bring back Billy Gunn and put Kevin Grace in his place. But you know what? No, I'm not even going to do that. If I have to bring back anybody else, because I think me, Vince Valor, and James Sega can do it all on our own. But God willing, if I do have to bring back anybody, there's a bunch. The new blood has kept ESW afloat. That goes without saying.
And
there's plenty of new blood to choose from.
Oh, there absolutely is. Also, on top of it, you're a man that has been well versed in ESW.
Yeah.
Working from being a fan to cameraman to being an in-ring competitor.
I am the measuring stick.
You have the knowledge.
For any young guy coming up at training that wants to be a part of ESW, I am the measuring stick. Point blank. There is what it is. You want to make a name for yourself, you got to go through me. Or you have to have my approval. But mostly just go through me, because my word means nothing, but my fists do.
Well said. Up next, you saw Atticus Cogar taking on Puff. And Cogar picks up the victory. Interesting matchup.
What a dynamic you got there. You got the fun-loving Puff versus the sinister silver-toothed Satan known as Atticus Cogar, and just a hard-hitting match. Puff likes to shake his hips, but you can't really shake your hips when you're getting kicked in the face, right?
Very true.
Atticus Cogar picked up a clean victory, by the way. Nothing dirty, no rope holding, no feet on the ropes, no holding of the tights. Super kick, a headlock driver, and the 1-2-3. Puff has a really good way of bouncing back for himself, and the fans always love to see him shake his hips. And he's pretty carefree, so I like to see that we're going to see Puff back. We're going to see Atticus Cogar maybe move up in the ranks, and speaking of which, it's Kevin Bennett versus Anthony Gaines versus Atticus Cogar, June 1st at our return to Rochester, the next chapter at Village Sports, which some are calling a show stealer.
Oh, wow. That definitely sounds like one. Up next, you saw Rise and Dakota Orion take on Gregory Iron and RJ City. Rise and Dakota Orion picking up the victory.
A little miscommunication by the team of handcrafted RJ City and Gregory Iron. Now, I mean, what is it? Did the new kids get the best of them, or did they get the best of themselves, letting an air of opportunity for the new kids? I don't know. We did see the feud. They said, we have to start a feud, which was a hilarious moment. Do I think it's an actual feud? Maybe. They're both kind of witty and just they're what do they say? Opposites attract.
Yeah.
So what does that say for similarities?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Handcrafted. I hope they don't break up. I hate RJ, but I love Gregory Iron.
They're one hell of a tag team.
They're jerks.
Up next, I saw Kevin Bennett taking on Anthony Green, and Kevin Bennett coming out victorious in this matchup.
Easily match of the night. Two of the independent's fastest rising stars and brightest younger stars rising up. Incredible bout where we've seen Kevin Bennett hit his springboard cutter into his remix suplex neckbreaker for the 1-2-3. Anthony Green came without the Platinum Honeys this time, so maybe he was at a disadvantage, but it was his debut at ESW Wrestling. I love Anthony Green. He's doing huge things, but Kevin Bennett just got one up on him, so Kevin Bennett continues to rise through the ranks. Who knows if we'll see Anthony Green anytime soon? I sure hope so.
This is true. Up next, the ESW Interstate title, Frankie Feathers defending the belt against Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and Frankie Feathers retaining.
Frankie Feathers retaining after a pretty short bout. I think Maxwell Jacob Friedman walked into that, taking Frankie Feathers a little lightly. He likes to sing, he likes to dance, he likes to shuck, he likes to jive. So he went out there and he tried to shuck and jive himself, and Frankie Feathers just got a little bit more of him with the wings of a feather. That double underhook face buster for the 1-2-3, a clean victory again. We haven't seen too many dirty tactics on this show, which is surprising coming from MJF, So what does this look like with MJF being signed to AEW? You lose to Frankie Feathers. Is Frankie Feathers signed to AEW?
I don't know.
Did that earn him a contract? Time will tell.
Time will tell. Up next, some ESW Women's Division action as Kate Carney taking on Davine. Carney picking up the victory once again in her ESW run.
Davey Ann is cool, man. Like she's like this powerhouse, and she's been around a long, long time, and like she's just starting to get a name for herself. She's a lot like me. Like she's worked a long, long time, and she hasn't really gotten this era of opportunity with a lot of places. Now she's in Beyond, and she's at Limitless, and now at ESW. You know, so there's a lot of era of opportunity. But Kate Carney, as we've seen in the past few weeks, has got an opportunity against Kelly Klein in Ring of Honor. So you know, these young women's stars are getting all these opportunities, and I don't think Davian came up short. I think Kate Carney just came up just a slightly bit better with that, oh God, what is that? That like Rainmaker-esque, oh God, it's like an inverted overdrive maneuver. It's like a knee to the back of that. It's super, super cool, and it's enough to put Davian away, which is all that matters at the end of the day. So we're looking forward to see who is next in the ranks against Kate Carney, because she's been undefeated for quite some time. She's defeated Jody
She's
Threat.
had quite the run at ESW.
Jody Threat, Casey Spinelli, now Davian. I mean, you know, the world's her oyster.
Yeah. Up next, the ESW heavyweight title. Brandon Thurston, the champion, defending against Fred Yehai, and Thurston retaining.
Freddie Yehai, MLW signee, former Evolve contract holder, Ring of Honor prospect tournament competitor. Freddie Yehai has a lot to speak for himself. ESW heavyweight champion Brandon Thurston has a lot to hold to himself. So, I mean, it's, you know, this was destined to be a dream match going in. And, you know, there's a couple gifs already of the match on the internet, and Freddie Yehai certainly brought it to Thurston. But Thurston, I think, had the hometown advantage. I think that was a tipping point.
Oh, absolutely.
In my personal opinion. So
always having the hometown advantage gives you that advantage.
Not always, but it certainly did work this time around.
Yeah. And in the main event of the night, you saw Colin Delaney and Cheech teaming with Ultimo Dragon to face Pepper Parks, Andy Williams, and Tyler Bateman. Delaney, Cheech, and Dragon picking up the victory.
What an absolute spectacle of a 6-man tag team match this was. I know Andy Williams is a personal friend of mine, and I know how much this meant to him, and I literally seen Pepper Parks slap the taste out of his mouth. You know, quit fangirling. You know, this is your enemy. This isn't your idol. You know, that's what you got to break into with the goddamn man Tyler Bateman as the third man of that. So 2 Butchers and a Blade taking on 2 Infinity and Beyond and Cruiserweight Royalty, the Ultimo Dragon. And I think the pedigree of the Ultimo Dragon was just enough to take over what the goddamn man Tyler Bateman and Andy Williams had to offer. As we've seen, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the match, but Pepper Parks and Ultimo Dragon squared off, and Pepper got the best of Ultimo for a second there, but it was just a matter of time before Ultimo used that wherewithal, used that veteran mentality to actually overcome 2 Butchers and a Blade.
All that experience.
100%.
But ESW's next show will be back at the St. Johnsburg Fire Hall.
It will not be back at the St. Johnsburg Fire Hall. It will be at Village Sports June 1st. The next chapter returns to Rochester. You're going to see The Colony, Chikara Royalty, and you're also going to see, oh gosh, who else is on that card? The Philly Marino Experience, ESW Tag Team Champions Valor and Sig. You're going to see myself, None of a Kind Anthony Gaines. You're going to see Atticus Kogar, Kevin Bennett. You're going to see 2 Infinity and Beyond, Cheech and Colin Delaney. Who else are you going to see on that card? God, there's one more person.
See Brandon Thurston.
Big League John McChesney. Absolutely Brandon Thurston, Blue Thunder, Jay Freddy, and so much more. Tickets are available now. Empire State Wrestling, ESWWrestling.com/the next chapter. If you want to get tickets, get them now while they're going fast, man.
Yeah, and then ESW will return to the St. Johnsburg Hall on June 29th.
ESW presents Resurgence live on June 29th, 2019. Again, back at the St. Johnsburg Fire Hall in North Tonawanda, New York. This show is specially featuring Zachary Wentz as well as Brian Pillman Jr., which is going to be such a treat for fans. Matches to be announced. I happen to know a little bit of information. I'm not going to leak it just now, but just like any other show, it's going to be killer. The teaser. It's going to be killer. It's going to be action-packed. And could it be our 4th sold-out show in a row? could be. Who knows? I would get your tickets, and I wouldn't even chance it if I were you, Pat.
This is true. If the past show was any indication of fans getting turned away because of how many people are in the building, you might want to get your tickets as early as possible.
100%.
But that's going to do it for us on the TTRP. I'd like to personally thank Anthony Gaines for joining me this week. You will hear his voice again because, as I said, Cyclone Jones is kind of on a bit of hiatus, so we're going to have different guests every show, but Anthony Gaines is going to be one of the main voices that you
that
hear.
Blood dripping out of your ear, you better get used to it, and there is no cure for it. From the Turnbuckle Talk radio podcast, my name is none of a kind Anthony Gaines. This is Patrick Ganchowski, and the G stands for gangster, signing off. Thank you for joining us here.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.